Word on the street is the Pixel 10 Pro XL is getting a $100 price hike. That would bring the price to an astounding $11.99, which would be a pretty far cry from where we've come in just the last few years. So, if I remember correctly, the Pixel 8 Pro was $8.99, and then we moved up to $9.99, and then we were at $10.99 with the Pixel 9 Pro XL, and now might be a staggering $1,199 when it comes to the Pixel 10 Pro XL. And that's just one, not really acceptable to me. I think that that's too much of a price increase in just a couple of years. But also, what are we going to get for it? I mean, it's nice that they're giving us the Tensor 5, right? Finally, a chip made by TSMC, no longer made by Samsung. So many people will be happy about this because everybody's been complaining about them for years. And I can almost guarantee you're still going to be complaining about them. If I remember, I'll get back to that later in this video. But yeah, with the corresponding price tag, though, it looks like if they do bump the price to $11.99, they would jump the baseline storage from 128 to 256, which I think is a massive cop-out. So, one, that would give them the ability to say, oh, yeah, our baseline storage is 256. It's like, well, yeah, but you jacked up the price more than a memory upgrade to get there. And now you're making that the baseline price point. So I think that's just stupid. But if we go to $11.99, I think it's going to hurt sales for these phones because as much as people like the Pixel phones, as cool as they've been, as many improvements that they've made, I still don't see them being on par from a market viability perspective. Most people don't go in and they go, okay, iPhone 16 Pro Max, $11.99. Pixel 10 Pro XL, $11.99. S25 Ultra, $12.99, but it's basically never that price. So you're going to be making this compete directly with sales on shelves. I mean, it already is competing, but at least when it's competing, it's selling a little bit cheaper, right? So, and they've got good sales and all that good stuff. I mean, they've been better about it. But whenever you take a look at this and you go, okay, do you think most people would pay $1,200 for a Pixel phone? That's a hard ask, especially whenever, I mean, their market share still is very low, and a lot of people don't have a lot of faith in the Tensor chip, especially when you look at it with the benchmarks. It's always compared against Samsung, always compared against Apple. So you have this negative narrative that goes out there calling these mid-tier phones and all sorts of craziness. I think that keeping the price lower has done them a good favor. But the problem is they keep creeping the prices up. I mean, when we had the Pixel 8 Pro, it was $999, and it was the bigger screen phone. So this already got a price increase this last year, going from the Pro. They created the Pro XL. This is now $1099, and now imagine an $11.99 step up, $200 price increase in 2 years. Do you really see that as cool? Do you really see that as viable? Again, this is just rumor, right? This is just news, leaks, conjecture at this point. Something you can start taking more seriously as we get closer to the launch, which, I mean, we're probably likely a couple just months away. So they become more and more credible as we get closer. And they've been talking about this, they being like, the people talk about leaks and stuff, since April. So for almost 2 months now, we've been talking about a potential price increase only on the Pro XL, though. Everything else is pointing to same price for the 10 Pro, same price for the 10, maybe even a price reduction on the 10 Pro Fold. So when you take a look at this guy and you go, okay, I paid $10.99 for this. Would I pay $11.99 for this next year? And I mean, I said that the Pixel 9 Pro XL was the best phone of 2024. I think this is a fantastic phone. I think there's a lot of things going for it. And I think that this phone will and does make a lot of people happy. But it's frustrating to see a company continue to keep raising prices over and over and over, and it's eroding the value proposition that made them so attractive. If you remember, we used to could get the Pixel like 7 was like $599 or something like that. Then it went to $699, then $799. Whenever the Pixel 6 and the 7 first came out, they were phenomenal, good pricing. And now everything's more expensive. Now the Pixel 9 is the same price as the iPhone. It's the same price as the Galaxy S25. And you look at the Pro or the Pro XL, same price as the iPhone. So, yes, is it fair from a market perspective? Sure. But is it something that I think that do I think that the check is writing, the phone's writing checks that its body can't cash, if you've seen Top Gun anyway. But anyway, so I think that they're getting a little too big for their britches with these price jumps, and especially like the Pixel A series being like $500. They just keep getting more expensive. I remember when the Pixel 3a came out, it was like what, $349. So Google just continually keeps raising these prices up over and over and over and over, and faster than the other brands, right? And we saw this with Samsung last year. They jumped the price up with the Fold. They jumped the price up to $18.99 instead of $17.99, with the inclusion of titanium and like all the other stuff. And 7 years of support. I mean, these guys, they give you 7 years of support. That's great. They make great phones. We're going to get the TSMC chip. And here's the thing, I want to talk about this. I mentioned it. So a lot of people hate on the Pixel phones because their chip, the Tensor chip, designed by Pixel, designed by Google, made by Samsung, people crap all over the chip. And I think the Tensor G4 is a very good chip, by the way. But people are not going to be happy, I think, when the TSMC chip gets here, because with the G5, don't expect to see 4.5 gigahertz speeds. You're not going to see it. Google already came out last year and said, this is not our mission. This is not what we're doing. Will you see onboard Gemini stuff and module stuff built into the chip? Yes, we should see that. You're seeing what we've been talking about for a long time, ever since we heard about the whole Whitechapel project 7 years ago or 6 years ago or whatever. It's been a while. But Google, ever since they decided to make their own chip, and they did that with Samsung, now they're doing it with TSMC, we're going to get a better experience. We're getting a better experience. And what you're capable of doing with less, not having to have a 4.5 gigahertz speed on your sinking chip, you don't need that. 3.5, 3.4, 3.3 is fantastic. That is still flagship level power. Hey, Twitter is not going to run any faster if you have an extra gigahertz. It's still running it on a lower clock anyway. It's like the fundamental disconnect between benchmarks, day-to-day performance, and the actual power that you need. Do you need 800 horsepower, or can you get away with 500 horsepower, right? Probably you can get away with 500 horsepower. So ever since we got into this 3 gigahertz world, all the apps on your phone run seamlessly. Like, the only thing that we could really put our finger on with the Tensor chips is say, okay, they don't game as well. Can they play all these games? Yes, they can. So they're still fully capable. They just don't have that extra competitive edge with, all the extra stuff that you've got with like the Snapdragon 8 Elite. It's a really impressive chip. I would love to see that. And I'm sure most people would love to see that, but you're not going to see that. So what's going to happen is the Tensor 5 is going to come out, and then people who have had all their hopes and dreams pinned on TSMC changing everything, you're not changing the Google philosophy and what they're trying to do. They're making a custom chip designed to run Android and their AI stuff better. And it does it. Everyone's like, oh, it's a crap mid-tier chip. Like, well, it's still running laps around all these other phones with the camera, that's for certain. So it's all about priorities. And whenever you make your own chip, when you design your own chip, whenever you build the software, you have a lot more control over that. This is like the same arguments back in the day where it's like, oh, the iPhone only had 1.5 gigabytes of RAM, but the S4 had 4 gigabytes of RAM or whatever. It's like, whenever you optimize, you don't need as many resources available to get the same results, right? So I think the Tensor G5 is going to be fine. I think it's going to be the best chip that you've ever gotten a Pixel phone. I think that it's going to have seamless performance. It's going to be great, just like the G4 has been, but it's going to make a bunch of people mad because they're all like, oh, TSMC is going to make it. We're going to get an 18 gigahertz chip. You're not going to get one. I'm telling you that right now. So, my thoughts on this potential price increase. I think it's probably going to happen. And I do think that if they go ahead and they bumped it to 256, really it's a cop-out. And in fact, because I think it's like $70 or something like that for a storage upgrade from the 128 to 256. Really, they're charging you more and just undercutting and getting rid of the 128. I still think it's crappy that we've got the 128 this late in the game with any phone, that especially calls itself a Pro. So I think we should be paying $10.99 and getting 256. If they jump it to $11.99, give us 256. I won't be happy about that. I will make my complaints about it. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. I think it's a bad move. I think it's going to hurt the upper end sales. We'll probably see some good sales on the Pixel 10, probably see good sales on the Pixel 10 Pro. And I think the reason they think they can get away with it is because really mostly enthusiasts and tech geeks and nerds and people who are willing to pay that much will pay it. And I think Google's trying to capitalize on that, because what's going to happen, right? It's going to come out, it's going to be $11.99, and then 6 weeks later it's going to be like $9.50. And then 6 months later, it's going to be $8.50, right? They've been really aggressive with dropping them. So it's like they're doing the peak demand pricing scale, selling it to you high as soon as it's fresh off the plate. And then a couple months later, drop the price. A couple months later, drop the price. And then get more low-hanging fruit that's willing to buy it a little bit cheaper. So anyway, that's my thoughts. Any questions, comments, gripes, concerns, complaints, all that stuff, please, of course, go to the comment section. I'll do my best to get back with you. If you enjoy the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you guys next time.